Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. I'm thrilled you're here with me, and I'm already hoping that you have a great day ahead of you. So my name is Rita Hickman. I'm a body-mind expert and a Shiatsu massage therapist, and my specialty is helping coach women using body work and energy work and coaching skills. Hey, Dina. If they happen to be in narcissistic relationships, help them make choices that make them strong and stand up for themselves and really get on a good path. And Tara's here too. How wonderful. So last night, I had a great conversation with my friend Patty, and we talked about how you can get a lot of gifts. Hey, Jody, you can get a lot of gifts by being in relationships with people who are narcissists. Hey, Danny. You know, I had a narcissist when I was a child. That's what I grew up with. And so I've spent the last number of decades, you know, really looking at the benefits that come on the other side of all of the healing work that happens. And it's made me into somebody that is happier and healthier than a lot of people that I know who are struggling, because I was pushed to create really good skills, really good health skills and life balance skills. And because of that, because, you know, I did all that head work and that hard work, it really put me on a great path for the rest of my life. And I know confidently that the rest of my life is going to be pretty smooth and pretty good because I've dealt with the hard work already. Now, a lot of women get into narcissistic relationships when they're older. Maybe they didn't have, you know, they had a little bit of it when they were a kid, but, you know, nothing too serious. And what is narcissism anyways? Narcissism is a spectrum of behavior. You know, it can either be clinically defined as narcissism, you know, in a psychological way, or it can be any time that people put their needs absolutely first without, you know, caring about anybody else around them, and that their behavior is based on being in a constant state of fight or flight and can look like selfish, manipulative, angry sorts of behavior. And it comes from the place of usually wanting to protect themselves. So because that's so complex and because that's so kind of crazy and hard to define, and what is it? And, you know, am I being abused? Am I not being abused? What's going on? You know, a lot of women, it takes them quite a bit of experience before they say, oh, there's really something that's too much, that's not quite right in this relationship. Hey, Carrie, before they start to investigate what narcissism is. Unless, as I said, they had trauma as a child. And trauma many times is created by narcissists as well. So it wasn't just, you know, my dad struggling with his alcoholism and struggling with his own pain and suffering around, you know, my brother and my family dynamics in his past. But it was also, you know, the people who, the pedophiles and the Catholic school nuns, let's say, that beat up the knuckles, or all of those situations, they stem from people who are in such a narcissistic place that their whole focus is on themselves. Their whole focus is on how they can survive, how they can make it through this world at all costs. And that usually comes from, you know, being trained that way, being imprinted. And so the opposite of that is people who were imprinted to not set boundaries. People who were imprinted to not believe that their voice mattered, or that if they did speak up, no one would listen to them. So last night I talked a lot about, you know, stories of how these beliefs are developed. You know, they're developed because as a child, at least for me, people wanted to keep you under control because it was easier. You know, a nice, happy girl was easier, but that sets you up for future relationships where you end up in narcissism. And that can happen very subtly. So there's a lot of women who are in relationships, and the rule of thumb that everybody gives you, you look on all the narcissistic sites, is, you know, narcissists are evil, you need to walk away from them, they're purposely manipulating you for, you know, their own good, and they're, you know, and that there's this evilness, there's this polarity of right and wrong and good or bad, which makes a lot of women who are in relationships where, you know, with people who are behaving in a very narcissistic way, get really confused. Because, you know, they're kind of like, I don't want to just leave them out in the cold. I see that they have issues and challenges, and I don't just want to, you know, give up on them or get rid of them. Hey, Wilfrida. Or maybe it's your father, like it was for me. Or maybe it's your child, or, who's now an adult and trying to figure it out. Maybe it's a spouse that you didn't realize, had this level of dysfunction in them until time went by. So all sorts of women find themselves and men, of course, in relationships with narcissists. And it's not always the best idea to just get up and leave your job right away, because maybe it's a good job, except for this coworker, who's constantly bullying you or battling you, like mean girls in school or something like that. So if you find yourself in relationship with a narcissist, here's the number one thing you need to focus on. And Patty and I talked about this last night. It's not about the narcissist. It's about taking care of yourself. It's about doing the things that help you feel good, doing the things that help change how you think and your own value, your own self-value. It's about hanging around people that help reinforce and support that self-value. It's about doing things which keep your body from feeling so vulnerable and so weak and so sensitive. So getting your gut flora, in place, because that has a huge impact on your brain, huge impact on your mood. Or it may be about getting all the tools around you. One of the biggest problems when I was a kid, and this is what happens when you're a kid, is when you're in a narcissistic or abusive relationship of some sort, you don't have any tools. You don't have anybody you can talk to, usually. No one will believe you. No one wants to hear what you have to say. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in that relationship, right? Your parents would have taken care of that, made sure this wasn't happening to you, made sure you weren't being bullied. So you develop skills and tools like disassociation, like not eating so that your body is constantly releasing beta endorphins so that you feel higher. One of the things that I did is I got my blood sugar so low that I could sleep, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to sleep from the high level of stress that I was. So I would crash out. Nothing would wake me up in the middle of the night. And that's one of the ways that I could cope. But as you get older and as you become an adult, there's a lot more tools available, a lot more information. You can find more information. You can find more support. You don't have to be isolated in your home or isolated in the situation. So when you're in a relationship with someone whose main purpose is their own personal survival at the cost of everyone around them, whether it's temporary, or whether it's day after day after day after day. Either way, the focus can't be on obsessing how to control the narcissist. It can't be obsessing on why they're doing this. Why are they doing this to me? Why won't they stop? What is it coming from? That's normal. It's normal to wonder about that, and it's normal to take responsibility for how they feel. Because one of the greatest skills I learned as a kid was if I took responsibility for absolutely everything, then it gave me a sense of control. So many times, it took me a long time to hold other people accountable, because when I was a kid and you're in a vulnerable position, you don't want to hold anybody else accountable, and you take the only power you have, which is the power to somehow survive the situation, whatever it may be, disassociation, drugs, food, whatever you had to do, you did. So these skills or these tools mean that we end up taking more responsibility for people and their emotions and their relationships than we ever need to. And that's normal. So don't feel bad about that. But those things, obsessing about why and what can I do about it, and why do I deserve this, and who can I trust, and why will they stop, and will this be a good day or a bad day, and walking on eggshells. All of those things are normal for us to obsess about and wonder about and spend tons of time. But really, the most important thing you need to be doing is putting your focus on the very good tools that are around you that will bring you back into a place of balance, so that you have clear thinking, so that your body isn't hijacking you, so that you don't feel oversensitive to everything, so that you've got people to talk to. When I go through a stressful time now, I don't just look for one tool. What I do is I bring them all into my little basket and I carry them with me. So that tool can look like CBD oil, water right next to my bed. It can look like, a little bit of a Xanax. It can look like calling my friends and getting my support behind me. All of those things are what will bolster you and keep you in a good place when you're going through a tough time, especially with a narcissist, when your fight or flight is out of control. Monday night we talked about, using EFT and tapping, how that works, how meditation helps, how guided visualization helps, how community groups like drumming and getting outside and watching the birds, how all of those tools help you get into a place where you can make positive choices and positive change. Because every relationship is different, right? There's no cookie cutter thing. You can't walk in and say, here's the answer of how to control this. But what does happen is when you're in a good place and you're not in a place of freaking out, insights and answers and understandings come to you. And you get the strength and the ability to make choices which will actually move you in a good direction. Hey, Michelle, it'll give you that download or that wisdom from the universe so that you can move in the direction you're meant to move. And whether it's with the narcissist or not, you're both, it puts you in a place where you can do those things and make those decisions. I have a client and I love her to pieces. And she was in a physically abusive relationship, with a narcissist, because physical abuse comes from someone not caring about the effect on the victim, on the spouse. That's where it comes from. They don't care. It's all about them. And so, and messing with their minds and keeping that control over them. And so he convinced her that everything was her fault, and that she was the one that was messed in the head, and convinced her that she was the one that had to go to therapy. She was the one that had to go to counseling. And so she did. And it was through the counseling and the therapy and the coaching that she realized that it wasn't her fault, that there were things that she can do, that there were tools available to her. So when you get that support, when you get outside influences from people who know what they're talking about, from people who are compassionate and have healthier mindsets, that's what moves you in the right direction. And it got her so healthy, that she took her 2 kids, she got divorced, and she was able to keep a relationship with her husband so that he could still be the good father that he was. He could still stay in the lives of her kids, So when you're in a good space, when you can think clearly, when your body and the pain and the anxiety isn't controlling you, that's when you're able to take back your power and move in the direction you're supposed to move in. Okay, so the most important thing you can do, any person can do, if they're in a relationship with a narcissist, is to not look at the narcissist, but to look at themselves. And not in a critical, nasty, angry way, but in a way of, what do I need right now? How can I help myself? How can I manage my emotions? Because we are each solely responsible for how we feel. No one else is responsible for how we feel. And when we give that responsibility to somebody else, we're going to get messed over. We're going to get peed on. We're going to get taken advantage of. We're going to get manipulated because we stopped taking control and taking responsibility for our inner world. And there are so many things from, as I said, from pharmaceuticals, prescribed or over the counter, legal, illegal, so many tools of spiritual tools and community tools and breath work and healing work. There's so much out there that will help you take back responsibility for how you feel. And when you start participating in these, and you can't just do one, it takes like 6, it takes a bunch of them all working together on all different aspects of you, getting all different types of needs met. When you do that, when you make sure that you're in the best place possible for you, that's when you can either look at the narcissistic relationship like I did with my dad. And I said, you know what? I want my dad in my life. How can I help him get what he needs? Because I'm in a good place and I can give from the overflow. And how can I heal help him heal and help our family heal because I don't want to get rid of my dad. Or if it's a different type of, narcissistic relationship, you can say, you know what, I don't need this, I don't want this, this isn't helpful, this is really damaging, this, is physically abusive, it's whatever, and you're able to stand up and make the choices that will get you out of that, okay? So here's your homework assignment for today. I want you to take a serious look, take 15 minutes, and take a look at what's missing in your life. Hey, Carla, what's missing that's keeping you from feeling good? Not what's happening to you that's keeping you from feeling good, but what's missing that makes you feel good, okay? So cool. If you're stuck and you need help, if these assignments are hard, reach out. I have coaching programs and bodywork programs if you're in the area that help women really get their needs met and get their minds rewired so that they can be in the best place possible, because that is the most important thing to do if you happen or choose to be in that relationship. Okay? Cool. Have a great rest of your day, and I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow.